What's up guys, and welcome back to another video. And if you've been watching the channel for a while, you would know that I've done a lot of different videos based around legendary weapons. However, most of those were done at a time where the majority of the better weapons in the game were classed as world drops. While around a month ago, that changed with an update that made most of the good weapons in the game now have dedicated drops from certain enemies. So while I've covered a lot of these weapons before on the channel, I figured I would go over them again, but this time show you where each of these weapons can now drop from. So let's jump straight into it. For the first two weapons of the video, we have the Maggie and the Lyuda. Both of these are amazing weapons that both drop from the exact same enemy. This enemy being the Tremendous Rex. Now, Tremendous Rex is basically the final boss of the Cistern of Slaughter. He will spawn in the final wave of the final round, and a quick tip when trying to farm this guy, make sure you leave some enemies alive. After you kill him, you will want these enemies to kill you. This way you can farm and repeat from round 5 instead of doing the whole of the Cistern of Slaughter again. Anyway, let's talk about the weapons. The Maggie is a legendary masher pistol that is manufactured by Jacobs. One of the key features of this weapon is the fact that it shoots 6 rounds per shot. Because of this and its general good damage, the thing is an absolute machine to use, especially if you can get a variant with a good anointment on it. The one I use at the moment comes with the anointment that gives it 100% bonus damage to enemies who are damaged by rack attack, and this is perfect for a rack attack flak build and is amazing for modes like Mayhem 4. Taking a look at the weapon view for this, we can see that it comes with the red text, Monty's wife don't take no guff, which combined with the weapon's name is actually a reference to the game's lore. Monty referring to Montgomery Jacobs and his wife, who is known as Maggie. And one last thing to mention about this weapon is it's one of the fan favorites that has returned from Borderlands 2, and the same goes for the Lyuda as well. Now, talking of the Lyuda, this is a legendary sniper rifle that is manufactured by Vladov. And the main feature of this weapon is its ability to spawn 2 additional projectiles per shot, one on either side of the main projectile it shoots, essentially shooting 3 bullets that fan out on a horizontal plane. Because of this, and again its high damage output, fast fire rate, and boost to critical hit damage, it makes it a superb choice to use, especially against bosses, as scoring critical hits with this thing will destroy almost anything in the game. Of course, if you can get an anointed variant of this, it's even better, and one of the anointments to look out for is the one which boosts your critical hit damage by 25% for a short period on action skill end. Now, taking a look at the weapon view for this one, we can see that it comes with the red text, Man Killer, in which I have no idea what this references. In terms of its actual statistics, I tend not to go too deep into them because these can change depending on the variant and level that you get the weapon at, but overall they are very good. And one more thing to note about this weapon is it can also be obtained as a quest reward for completing all of Zero's Target of Opportunity crew challenges. Coming up next, we have the Nighthawk. The Nighthawk is a legendary submachine gun that is manufactured by Dahl. Now, this can actually drop in 2 different locations. The first being from the Demo Skagans in the Drought region of Pandora, in this exact location on the map, and the second being from Rackman, who has a chance to spawn in the Carnivora region of Pandora. Quick tip for Rackman, he will only spawn if you see his rack symbol beaming into the sky. If you don't see that, simply reload your game and keep trying until you see that symbol spawn. Now, as for the weapon itself, it comes with a very unique ability that switches between cryo and incendiary damage depending on the time of day, and that is daytime for cryo and nighttime for incendiary. But additionally to this, with each bullet that you hit an enemy with, the weapon increases in elemental effect chance, adding to the overall damage output. Now, the variant you want for this weapon is the 4-shot burst version, as this will be your best option for putting out the most amount of damage possible. Taking a look at the weapon view of this, we can see that it comes with the red flavor text, Stranger Than Things, which of course is a reference to the popular TV series Stranger Things. And of course, it now drops from the demo Skagun, who is also a reference to Stranger Things as well. Overall, if you're a fan of these submachine guns, definitely find yourself a great anointed version of this that fits your Vault Hunter. Another great legendary for you to obtain comes in the form of a grenade, and this grenade is the Hex Grenade, especially if you're able to get the Murptacular or Recurring Hex with anointed variants that come with bonus 50% damage to an element on action skill end. Now to get the Hex, you'll need to go to the Anvil region of Eden 6. From there you'll need to make your way to this location on the map, and this is where one of Zero's target of opportunities resides, known as the Sky Bullies. This is where the Hex has a chance to drop. Now in terms of what the Recurring Hex does, it's essentially a homing grenade that will target the nearest enemy, and once it hits an enemy, it will then split into multiple grenades and generate elemental coils, which then continuously damages the enemy over time. When using a good character build, and again having the anointments I mentioned earlier, this thing can just generally add to your damage output overall, so it's a very good grenade to get your hands on. Taking a look at the weapon view for this again, this does have the red text, "Keeper of the Stars, I hope to never find," which is a reference to the song All Bodies by the band known as Between the Buried and Me. And finally, the grenade can come in multiple different elements, which is always a good thing when it comes to legendary grenades. Talking of grenades, and actually a legendary shield too, because both of these items drop from the same location, we have the Stormfront Grenade and the Stopgap Shield. Both of these items have a higher chance to drop from the rare enemy known as Al Dragon Jr., who can be found in the Jacob's Estate region of Eden 6, in this exact location on the map. Now, like all of the other spots on this list, they are world drops as well, but farming Al Dragon Jr. will be your best bet for obtaining these. Let's start off with the Stormfront. Now, the Stormfront Grenade is yet another item returning from Borderlands 2. This grenade always comes with the shock element, and when thrown, spawns several smaller grenades that chain lightning to multiple enemies. And the good thing about this is that the chain lightning effect actually counts as splash damage. So any skills or items you have that boost your splash damage will also boost the overall damage output of the grenade. Now the reason why this grenade is favored by many is because a lot of enemies in this game have shields, and because the grenade puts out a great amount of shock damage, you'll find yourself destroying those shields very quickly. As always, the level 50 stats for this thing will be shown on screen, and taking a look at the red text for this grenade, it states very, very frightening, which combined with its name being Stormfront is a clear reference to the song Bohemian Rhapsody by Queen. Thunderbolt and lightning, very, very frightening me. Anyway, now moving on to the Stopgap Shield. Now I know this is a shield and not a weapon, but I just had to include this, as generally speaking it's one of the best shields in the game, and also drops from the same enemy as the Stormfront. Now what makes the Stopgap so good is its unique ability, in which when the shield is depleted, it will grant you 5 seconds of immunity to all damage. Now that 5 seconds of immunity you get is especially good when you're playing on true Vault Hunter mode, and at modes like Mayhem 3 or Mayhem 4. Things can be a little bit hectic in those modes, so having a shield like this can prove to be very useful. Again, the shield view for this will be shown on screen, and as for the red text for this one, it states, "The process is called living," which is actually a quote from the author known as Terry Pratchett. This and the Transformer shield are widely regarded as some of the best shields in the game, so if you don't have one yet, definitely try farming for one. Coming up next, we have the Flakker. Now the Flakker is a legendary tool shotgun that still hits insanely hard, even after the recent nerfs, and is even better when you're running a good Mose build with this. Now to obtain this weapon, you'll need to farm an enemy known as Nighthawk. He will be located in the Conrad's Hold region of Pandora in this location on the map, and Nighthawk can also drop some other legendary weapons as well, but this is where the Flakker has a higher chance to drop from. Now in terms of what the Flakker does, it initially shoots out projectiles which then generate a series of explosions, and these explosions hit very, very hard. Again, it did get nerfed a while ago, but even after the nerf, this thing is still amazing for mobbing, but can also take out most of the bosses in the game with ease. The only real downside to this weapon is the range. It's a little bit tricky when you're first using it, but after a few uses, you will get used to how the weapon works. Now, as for the level 50 stats for this thing, they are pretty decent across the board, and the red text for this one is Flack the World, in which, again, I'm not really sure what this references. This is a weapon that I wanted to make sure made it onto the list because when it was nerfed, a lot of people thought it wasn't that good anymore. So yeah, that's how you can obtain the Flakker if you was ever wondering where its dedicated loot drop was. Next up, we have the Hyperion Brainstormer shotgun. To get this, you want to farm Katagawa Ball. I'm sure most of you already know that Katagawa Ball is located in the Skywell 27 region of Promethea, as he is one of the bosses that you have to fight in the main game and is very easy to take out, so farming this guy shouldn't be too difficult. Now, the Brainstormer always comes with the shock element and shoots with a spread of 7 pellets. However, if you can get the redundant version of this gun, it can shoot up to 14 pellets. Now, what makes the gun so good is its unique ability, in which when you shoot the thing, it shoots in a lightning bolt pattern. And when the shock element is procced on enemies, it will have a chain reaction shock bolt effect that is quite powerful, and that paired up with its relatively high damage output and its decent fire rate and magazine size make the weapon a great choice for mobbing crowd control. Its level 50 stats will be shown on screen, and the red text for this one is "Let's put our heads together," which I think is simply a reference to the weapon's name being Brainstormer. Overall, it's a solid shotgun and definitely one worth adding to your collection. Another insane legendary weapon you can get your hands on is the Crossroads Hyperion submachine gun. This weapon can be obtained from an enemy known as Katagawa Jr., who is located in the Atlas headquarters on Promethea. The weapon itself fires 3 projectiles per shot. It used to fire 4 and used to be quite a bit better than what it is now, but it's still amazing, and although it shoots 3 projectiles, it shoots them in bursts of 6, so your damage output with this thing is very high. It can also come in multiple different elements, and my preferred element for this would be shock, because while any of the bosses with a good shield will get melted by this thing. Now, as usual, the level 50 stats will be shown on screen, and the red text for this one states "Open the gate for me," in which I again have no idea what it references, but if you guys know, then be sure to let me know in the comment section below. Now, this weapon is regarded as being one of the top SMGs in the game, so if you don't have a good anointed variant of it yet, now will be the perfect time for you to farm for one. And for the final weapon of the video, we have the Face Puncher. Now, I wanted to include this weapon on the list as it has a lot of beneficial uses. But before we get into that, let's talk about where you can find it. The Face Puncher has a higher chance to drop from a crew challenge enemy known as Handsome Jackie, who is located in the Skywell 27 region of Promethea in this location on the map. It did take a while to get this one to drop, so it may take a few farming attempts before you can get one. But jumping straight into what the weapon does. So the unique aspect of this weapon is that it actually shoots out your melee damage. So the more melee damage your character does, the more damage this weapon is going to do. Because of this, you can do astronomical amounts of damage when you're running an Amara melee build, and pair this with a Brawler Ward shield. Outside of using Amara, and actually even with using Amara as well, if you're using a cut purse artifact alongside this weapon, you can use the weapon to regenerate your ammo, which a lot of people tend to use when using a TD or Chukka build. Or additionally to this, if you're using a Knife Drain artifact, you can also use it to heal yourself, which can keep you alive in most situations, so the weapon does have a lot of different benefits. Now, as usual, the weapon view and statistics will be shown on screen, and the red flavor text for this one is "Man Your Own Jackhammer," which is a reference to the studio album In Keeping Secrets of Silent Earth 3 by Coheed and Cambria. Overall, it's a great weapon that has many uses and is definitely one worth farming for. And that's pretty much it for the video. I do apologize if I sound a little bit weird today. I am not feeling the best, but I still wanted to put out a video for you guys anyway. If you enjoyed the video today, be sure to leave a like down below. And if you want to check out the top 10 best new weapons in Borderlands 3, click on this video on the screen now. Peace.